Hello and welcome back to Sugar and Frights. Today I'll be talking about Presents. Presents was released about a week ago. I'm a little behind on filming my reviews, so this one will be coming out, I guess, 2 weeks after I've seen it, so a little behind, which is actually fitting because I'm not entirely sure how to go about reviewing this movie. Um, I had sort of mixed feelings about it. So this movie was directed by Steven Soderbergh, and I think part of the movie's appeal was that name attached to it. It turns out I haven't seen a single one of his movies. When I heard the name, it was familiar, so I assumed that I had, but I guess I haven't. So if you guys have any favorite Steven Soderbergh movies, drop them down below and maybe I'll watch them and review them for this channel. It was also written by David Cope, who I guess was a writer on Jurassic Park. So a lot of big names attached to this movie, not so much big horror names, but big names nonetheless. The film was released by Neon, who have been releasing some really good titles in the last year or so, including Longlegs and Cuckoo. I think Immaculate as well, which were some of my favorite watches from last year. The film stars Lucy Liu, Chris Sullivan, Kalina Liang, and Eddie Mayday. So hopefully by this point you've seen some of my other videos. But if you haven't and you're new to this, I'm trying to do a baking themed review that's broken down into different parts. The first part being the recipe. So the recipe for this movie, and I'll read you the IMDb official blurb, is a family becomes convinced they are not alone after moving into their new home in the suburbs. So very vague there. I think for a lot of people, the draw was the big names attached to it, for one, but also the sort of gimmick attached to it. So if you aren't familiar, this movie takes place from the perspective of the presence or whatever it is that's in the house. So you're kind of in this like POV sort of moving way of filming, as you sort of have this voyeuristic experience with the family that moves into this house. So the film follows a family of four: Rebecca and Chris, who are the parents, and their two kids, Chloe and Tyler. We don't see too many other people in the movie. We do get a little cameo, I guess, of Julia Fox. I know a lot of people were excited to see her in this movie. We also have another kid named Ryan, who's played by Wes Mulholland, who's kind of a friend of both Chloe and Tyler. This film is listed as a psychological thriller, horror, drama on IMDb. So I can see how, having seen it, it fits into all of those categories. I said it differently, but horror is actually listed as the last genre on IMDb, and that makes a lot of sense just having watched it. It definitely, I think, focuses more on the psychological thriller drama part of the movie. So the story very much focuses a lot on the family and their dynamics and kind of some of the toxic pieces of their relationships, some of the things that they're struggling with. This is very similar to Wolfman, so I'm wondering if we're going to get more family drama oriented horror this year. These things kind of tend to go together, so it'll be interesting to see if that's a recurring theme throughout the year. This is a single location horror, as the entity who we see the entire plot unfold through cannot leave the house. So we only get to see the rooms within the house and then the view from outside the house of the presence looking outward. So it does kind of lend itself to this sort of suffocating feeling of being stuck in one location. And that's actually a really good segue into the next category, which is flavor. So in flavor, we talk about themes present within the movie. This tends to be a little bit more subjective. This is more of just what I saw. So in this one, again, like in Wolfman, there is a lot of focus on the family tension. So kind of the dynamics between each family member, the mom and the dad, the mom and the son, the mom and the daughter, the dad and the son, the dad and the daughter, So we're seeing this kind of family drama play out within the first good like 40 minutes of the film itself from the perspective of the presence. There are some other themes that I think are present in this film, but I'll save them for spoilers just in case you all want to go in as blind as possible. I am definitely that way, so I like to avoid extended trailers if I can. So more themes will be talked about in spoilers if you want to stay for that, but I'll keep it pretty vague for this part. So the last theme that's pretty present um, is the supernatural theme, right? So you have the presence established from the beginning who's watching everyone in the house. So kind of gives themes of life after death, uh, the voyeurism of ghosts, I guess. There's um, a lot of that. I don't know. So the next thing that I like to talk about is the execution. And this is just taking all of the elements that we talked about, the recipe, the ingredients, right, the flavors, and putting them together into a cohesive whole. So the biggest thing about the execution of this movie that we have to talk about is, of course, the presence of it all, right? So the entire movie is filmed from the perspective of the presence. And this was something that drew me to the movie initially. I thought this was kind of a neat concept, right? I think a lot of people were excited about it. I am a huge found footage fan, so I kind of felt like this would be not found footage, but kind of similar, right? Like I don't mind the like shaky camera, like movements, things like that. I do have to say, and I feel kind of bad, but I didn't really care about this as the movie went on. There were times where I straight up forgot that that's what was happening, and it really kind of took me out of it. There were so many times where we were just kind of watching an awkwardly filmed family drama. Um, so you're watching these things unfold like really close, and then all of a sudden you're moved very abruptly away from the all of it. Uh, and that was just it was a little off-putting for me, honestly. And I've never been one to get motion sick from shaky cam. But if I was going to, it probably would be from this one. So if you're sensitive to that, might be something to think about if you're planning to see it in theaters. The movement can be really quick. It's not so much jerky, but it's smooth, but you kind of move in and out of spaces really quickly, and that can be a little jarring. Aside from that, I think the movie was really well executed. I didn't dislike the presence thing, but at times it just I forgot that that's what we were doing. The set design was gorgeous. I really loved the house and just the way that they presented the house. The sound design was pretty interesting. There were some effects with the presence that were neat. I think overall the cinematography was really good. Like I love long shots, and I appreciated that that movie had a lot of those. One thing about the presence is that it kind of blinks in and out a lot. I know it probably would have been really challenging to execute, but I would have loved to see almost like an entire long shot movie. I know it can be done. Um, I don't know if the movie could have been as long as it was if they had done it that way, but the blinking in and out kind of took me out of it occasionally. It's just a petty little thing, but overall execution was good. I liked the acting. I think the kids did really well. They're not kids. I mean, they're teenagers. I don't know, but I loved seeing Lucy Liu. I don't think I've seen her in anything in forever. She'll always be Charlie's Angels for me. So it was good to see her, and her performance was great. The dad was great. Their sort of chemistry was good. I think you really felt the family dynamics, and so for a movie that is mostly about family, that sort of kept me in it, even with kind of bouncing in and out of rooms with the presence. So the last part that I talk about before spoilers is the frights. And this movie, um, unfortunately, wasn't very scary. I think it's definitely tense. So you get that psychological drama thriller. that kind of build up. There was some really tense moments between the family members that were sort of uncomfortable to watch. There were a few parts that were uncomfortable for a multitude of reasons, but that might just be me. Um, so I was definitely more uncomfortable than I was scared. There is one scene at the very end, and I won't talk about it until spoilers. That was like the first time that I felt like a sense of dread while watching the movie. And hopefully it's not a spoiler to say, but I think that the presence itself was like the least scary part of the movie, if that makes sense. And so now's the point we talk about spoilers. So if you, like me, don't want to be spoiled at all, go ahead and stop the video now, go and see it at your local theater, and then come back, tell me how you liked it. Maybe it'll help me understand whether or not I liked it, because I'm not sure. Help a girl out. I don't know. So, talking about the family dynamics, I did find this interesting for sure. You have kind of this emotional incest type relationship with the mom and the son, where she's kind of enabling his gross behavior. You know, he's kind of a bully, he's kind of a jerk. And so there was tension there for sure. Then you have the tension between the mom and the dad. She's doing some sort of illegal something. I didn't quite understand what that was, and I felt like it didn't really go anywhere, but adds to the tension, I suppose. And then the daughter having lost her friend to a suspicious overdose, right? So you have conversations about grief and about loss, which I guess are another theme that was sort of layered on there. Trying to understand death, trying to understand how to feel about a sudden death, things like that. And then, of course, we have Ryan, who's the friend that is friends with both kids, but they don't know that he's friends with both of them. So he's kind of in a romantic relationship with Chloe. And I found their scenes really unbearable to watch. Not because of the acting or anything about the writing. It was so uncomfy to watch like teenager talk, especially because we were up close with the presence. You know, we were right up in it. So I kind of felt, I don't know, that those scenes made me feel kind of icky. And maybe that was just me sort of sensing that something was off about him. I don't know. So then it's ultimately revealed that Chloe's friend didn't die of an overdose. She was killed by Ryan. And so Ryan's over. He knocks out the brother, whose name I can't remember right now. Not Ryan. His name's Tyler. I had to look it up. Anyway, so he knocks out Tyler, and Tyler is sleeping downstairs, and he goes up and gives Chloe a roofie, which he had tried to do earlier in the movie, but the presence knocked it off. And so he attempts to kill her. So one thing I didn't talk about in the non-spoiler part of this video is the visit from the medium. So after the presence destroys Tyler's room in the scene where he's talking about bullying this girl at school, they call Julia Fox, and Julia Fox sends her medium friend, because of course Julia Fox has a medium friend, over, and the medium does the kind of classic horror movie thing where she describes like how her particular brand of medium works. This was a little unique. I think they talked about this kind of relationship between trauma and the other side, right? Because Chloe experienced this trauma, she's kind of in tune with the presence. I did love that the medium is consistently looking at us via the presence, right? She's looking sort of right directly at the camera throughout this entire scene, which is neat because it kind of shows that she can see it. She knows where it is. She also makes mention of something that I wasn't expecting, which is kind of like the time loop concept, right? So she's talking about how these beings don't know if they're in the past or the present. So I think that was unique because going into this, I was sort of just expecting your regular ghost story, right? Like someone died in the house and then now they're the presence, right? So this kind of teased that there was something more to expect from the presence. And then, of course, she comes back and gives that little cryptic thing about the window that doesn't open, kind of giving us a little hint as to what the outcome was going to be. So as Ryan is essentially torturing a passed out Chloe with the little saran wrap, which weird of him to have it in its own little tube. I guess I mean he's like supposed to be like a serial killer, but it was just kind of geeky. I don't know. So we see the presence, or we as the presence see this kind of like fluctuation on the screen, like a vibration, and then it goes downstairs really swiftly and wakes up Ryan. Nope. Yes, Ryan. Yeah. No. Tyler. Boys' names. And Tyler, the brother, runs upstairs and tackles Ryan, and they fall out of the window to both of their deaths. So, kind of a callback to what the medium said about this window that isn't open. So, talking about the final scene of the movie, and the one part that did give me a spook was when they are leaving the house after the death of Tyler and Ryan, and Lucy Liu kind of seems to feel the presence, and she goes around to this mirror that's been a big thing throughout the whole movie, and it slowly pans over, and we see that the presence has been her son, Tyler. Yeah, Tyler. Sorry, guys. Like these names are tripping me up. She sees her son in the mirror, and it's revealed that he has been the presence this entire time. So he kind of his death sort of set him into a loop, a time loop, I guess. And just her reaction and the like scream that she does at the end of this movie gave me like the most feelings I had throughout the entire thing. Like I felt some discomfort at especially with the scenes with Ryan when he's got the plastic wrap. Like it's heavy, it's tense, but nothing like shook me as much as Lucy Liu's reaction at the end. And to be honest, I did not see that coming. I was almost prepared for it to not explain what the presence was, and that ending made me like the movie more, that there was sort of this unique twist to it. I appreciated that. I'm not sure exactly how it works within the universe. Like, is it a time loop? Is it like an echo? What are the rules? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess it doesn't matter. So we're left with Tyler's spirit flying out through the house and presumably going to wherever spirits go once they fulfill their roles. So that's the end of the movie. Overall, I liked it. I did. I didn't dislike it. I was expecting a different movie, I think. And from what I've seen of other people reviewing it, that's kind of a general consensus. I think it was marketed very much as a horror movie, and then when it didn't deliver on the horror, um I don't know if you all felt this way, but I got a little bored, and I hate to say that because I know that a lot of work went into it and it's very like well crafted, but there were times throughout it that like I said, I just felt like I was watching a really weirdly filmed family drama. The presence itself was so minimal in what it did. It did some stuff, but it really didn't, it didn't do anything outside of the regular, like, moving things around. I have a really hard time thinking of a rating for this, but I think I'm going to go with a 3 to 5 stars. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. And honestly, the gimmick of it being filmed from the perspective of the presence was the least interesting thing about it. And that kind of bummed me out a little bit. I think overall it was a good watch. I don't know if I would watch it again. Um, but, you know, it was a good movie. It was solid. And so there you have it. That is my review of Presence. Thank you all for being here and for coming back if you've watched some of the other videos. This is just a hobby of mine at the moment. I work full time, so I can't make these videos all the time, even though this is slowly becoming something I very much enjoy. So please recommend movies to me, follow, subscribe. I'm on Letterboxd and Instagram. The handles will be at the end of this video for those of you curious about that. I'm hoping to keep up my momentum and post a video every week, but we'll see. So thanks, and please come back.